Welcome to Librarian Recommends. Hi, my name is Trish and I am one of the librarians at Barbican Library, and I'm going to bring you some suggestions of books to read or listen to via a Librarian Recommends session each week on a Thursday. You can download ebooks and audiobooks using our free RBdigital app. If you need help using the app, please take a look at our user guide video, which you can find in the video section on the left of this Facebook page, or go to our YouTube channel using the link above. Today I'm going to concentrate on crime novels. This is a wide genre to hopefully suit all tastes and interests. Firstly, I'm going to mention some ebook titles you might be interested in trying. My first suggestion is Darkest Truth by Catherine Kerwin. The protagonist of this story is Finola Finn Fitzpatrick, a solicitor based in Cork, Ireland. When she is approached by Sean Carney to investigate the suicide of his daughter Deirdre, Finn is at first reluctant to get involved. It is clear to her that the father is consumed by grief and struggling to accept the circumstances of Deirdre's death. With little to go on, Finn does decide to accept the case. Something terrible happened to Deirdre that caused a marked decline in her mental state, leading her to become withdrawn and depressed, and eventually to seemingly take her own life. Finn's investigation begins to reveal a dark and twisted picture, and she soon finds herself in very real danger. This is a crime thriller with a gutsy main character, and is full of twists and turns right to the end. How about Every Pretty Thing by Chris Mooney? Crime scene investigator and serial killer expert Darby McCormick receives a call from her friend, FBI agent Jackson Cooper. He needs her help on an unofficial case he is working on, but gives her very little information to go on. What he doesn't tell her is that he has been contacted by Karen Decker, one of only 2 survivors of the notorious Red Ryder serial killer. Traumatised by his cold-blooded slaughter of her parents, she has spent the years since trying to track down the psychopath as he travels across America, and believes she has finally found him in a small town in Montana. However, something is very wrong, and as the trail gets colder, Darby finds herself alone in a strange town, stalked by an unseen and ruthless predator. Will she be his next victim? This is a tense and gripping psychological drama with a real twist at the end. Next up is Streets of Darkness by A.A. Dand. While out on his early morning run, Detective Inspector Hardeep Harry Verdi comes across the crucified body of Shakil Ahmed, a prominent local businessman, and the newly elected MP for Bradford West. The crime appears racially motivated, and DNA evidence links Lucas Dwight, a former leader of the BNP and instigator of the 2001 Bradford riots, to the body. D.I. Verdi has a temper. He breaks the rules and is currently suspended from duty, awaiting the completion of an investigation. Despite this, Verdi tracks the suspect down, but it soon becomes apparent that nothing is quite as it seems. Verdi sees his preconceptions upended as he finds himself on the other side of the law. This is a fast-paced, intelligent police procedural novel loaded with suspense and great characters. My final ebook suggestion is Worst Case Scenario by Helen Fitzgerald. Mary Shields, a 52-year-old acerbic borderline alcoholic, has worked as a probation officer in Glasgow for nearly 30 years. She is menopausal, stressed, worn down and made cynical by years of petty bureaucracy and dealing with some of the most undesirable members of society. She's really had enough of it all, so she hands in her notice. She is, however, assigned one last case to work, and as usual, it's not an easy one. Dr. Liam McDowell was convicted of the murder of his wife, and while in prison wrote a book, Cuck, Letters to My Dead Wife, a series of letters to his dead partner. Released on licence into Mary's care, his book is published and makes him an unlikely hero and a poster child for men's rights advocates. But Mary is consumed with hate for him, and Mary decides to take the law into her own hands and serve up her own brand of justice with disastrous consequences. This is a gritty, darkly humorous and uncompromising thriller. And now on to some audiobooks. Listening to crime novels can be really absorbing, as you really feel like you are being drawn into the story. So if audiobooks are new to you, why not give them a try? First up is The Woman in Blue by Ellie Griffiths. The medieval town of Walsingham is famous for religious apparitions. So when a druid, known as Cathbad, sees a woman in a white dress and a blue cloak standing by a gravestone in the local churchyard one night, he assumes it's a vision of the Virgin Mary. The next day, a young woman in a white nightdress and blue dressing gown is found strangled in a nearby ditch, and it's clear that it wasn't the Blessed Mother that Cathbad saw, but the murder victim. Meanwhile, Hilary Smithson and other Anglican priests are visiting Walsingham for a conference. An old friend of forensic archaeologist Dr. Ruth Galloway, Hilary confides in her that she has been receiving a series of malicious and threatening letters. When another woman, one of Hilary's fellow female priests, is found murdered just as Walsingham prepares for its annual Good Friday Passion Play, Ruth, Cathbad and DCI Harry Nelson must work together in a race against time to find the killer before he takes yet another life. An intriguing mystery that will keep you guessing to the end. My next suggestion is Every Day Above Ground by Glenn Eric Hamilton. Van Shaw is an ex-Army Ranger, grandson of a career criminal, and trying to stay on the straight and narrow. Out of the blue, he is contacted by Mickey O'Hasson, an old acquaintance of his deceased grandfather, who convinces Van to use his safe-cracking expertise to recover a fortune in gold bullion, lying abandoned and almost forgotten in a building earmarked for demolition. It all sounds too easy and too good to be true, and of course, it is. The safe and millions of dollars of gold are real enough, but they are a trap set by persons unknown, and the pair walk right into it. Surviving the ambush, Van must find an abducted O'Hasson, try to retrieve the gold, and protect the life of an innocent girl. This is a gritty, well-placed and action-packed crime thriller. How about The Dead Won't Sleep by Anna Smith? This debut novel from former journalist Smith is set in Scotland in the late 1990s. It begins with the badly decomposed body of a young girl washing up on Troon Beach. Dental records identify her as Tracy Eady, a 14-year-old prostitute and heroin addict. After 6 months in the water, no forensic evidence can be obtained, and the options for investigation into the death seem limited. Rosie Gilmore, a tabloid journalist, is contacted by Mags, a friend of Tracy's, who reveals information and incriminating evidence that can identify Tracy's killers. Rosie begins an investigation which finds her uncovering a sickening web of corruption and abuse that stretches from the low life of Glasgow streets to high-ranking officials and those at the very top of the establishment. Rosie realises her life is in very real danger. This is a dark, hard-hitting thriller that will keep you gripped from start to finish. My last audiobook suggestion is The Watched by Casey Hill. Quantico-trained forensic investigator Riley Steele is back in the US. Uncertain about both her future and her position in the Dublin police force, she has come to stay with her former FBI mentor Daniel Forrest. She hopes a relaxing time in the Florida sun will give her some perspective. When Daniel's police officer's son is called to a gruesome murder scene, he is shocked to discover that the victim, whose body has been completely torn in half, is Daniel's goddaughter. Riley can't shake the feeling that she has come across something like this before, but where? The answer becomes obvious when the serial killer strikes for the third time. The madman is reenacting some of the most iconic murder scenes in horror film history, and uploading his work to the internet for his followers and the world to watch? Will Riley and the investigative team be able to track down the murderer before it's too late? A compelling and exciting listen for fans of Karen Slaughter, Lisa Gardner and Patricia Cornwall. I do hope you enjoy these ideas for your next read, even if it's a genre you've not thought of reading before. Why not try something new? You might be surprised. And don't forget, if these titles I have suggested are unavailable when you look, you can search by genre and availability in the RBdigital app. Do use the comments section below to add your own suggestions of crime books you think our customers might enjoy. And if we don't already have them available in our RBdigital collection, we will see if we can add them. Before I go, I would again like to thank my colleague Lynn for her invaluable help putting these recommendations together. Stay safe and well, and see you next week. Bye.